double digits affect your purchasing power? What about ballooning debt profile and scarce FX? How's that affecting your business?
The federal government is turning to the money market to fund its deficits. Are yields contracting or expanding? Is this a good buy for you?
Inflation drives MPC decisions and affects sentiment at the equities market. What is happening to your investment?
Or would you rather go digital? We track all the volatility in the crypto market.
Get the answers from the business team every weekday at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated, only on Channels Television.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
This is Channels Television. Please stay tuned for a live coverage of Africa in Motion, the future in progress, a curated program of panel discussions, storytelling, and musical performances celebrating African innovations, put together by the Gates Foundation Goalkeepers.
This is a live Channels Television event.
I'm sure you know they deserve a bigger round of applause than that. Come on. How beautiful was that? Thank you very much to that amazing choir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ebuka Obiuchedo, and I'm your host for this evening. Karibu. Okay, we don't have East Africans here. Sanibonani. Aha. Niger Alpha. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to Goalkeepers Lagos 2025. Now, this is a very special moment because the first time Goalkeepers has come to Nigeria. And not just to celebrate this amazing country, but the brilliance, the resilience, and of course, the leadership that is rising across Africa. We have people joining us virtually from all over the continent, from Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Egypt, Ghana, and so much more. So wherever you're watching us from, hope you're enjoying the show. Now, Goalkeepers is a catalytic platform dedicated to accelerating progress toward the Sustainable Development Goals and highlighting the people doing the hard, necessary work to make that happen. Now, I actually agreed to host this event before I even knew what the theme was. I just saw Nigeria at the top of the email and agreed immediately, you know. 3 years ago, I had the honor of hosting Goalkeepers in New York, but to do it here at home, surrounded by my people, my fellow Africans, and of course, change makers, now that's truly something special. Make some noise for yourselves. Thank you very much. Now, let's be real. This is a very critical time for Africa. The world is shifting. Massive amounts of global health funding have been cancelled, putting at risk the very programs that keep people alive and communities safe. We're talking about HIV treatment, childhood vaccines, and disease surveillance systems. But this isn't just about health. It's about preserving decades of progress. That means if we want to keep moving forward, we have to do it ourselves. But the good news, we can. Because Africa has the ideas. Africa has the talent. And most importantly, Africa has the momentum. So a bit of a story time. Last year, I was a part of executive producing a show that was about to be greenlit on a major global platform. Then suddenly they pulled out of funding in Africa. Just like that. A few months later, another global platform scaled back their investments in Nigeria. It was very hard to take, and it was very disappointing. But it also made something pretty clear. That while the world is a global village, we can't continue to solely rely on outsiders to tell our stories or solve our problems. And honestly, we shouldn't have to. Every day through my work, I get to meet young Nigerians who are building from the ground up. They're starting motorbike or Okada delivery businesses that deliver everything from clothes to food and even medication. Then there are those creating content on social media. Some people are coding and building apps, finding solutions because they leave the problems. And that is what innovation looks like. It's not imported. It's not hypothetical. It is local. It is lived. And it's laser focused on impact. But this isn't just happening in Lagos or in Nigeria. It's happening all across the continent. We have built powerful homegrown ecosystems, well-equipped and ready to deliver African solutions for African challenges. In Nigeria, researchers developed a simple, low-cost drape that helps health workers detect postpartum bleeding, a major cause of maternal deaths. It's already saving lives here and is on track to help millions more across the continent. In countries across East Africa, scientists are supercharging staple crops like beans and bananas, making them more nutritious and tougher against climate shocks. In Kenya, a local medical device company is producing over 300 million auto-disabled syringes a year, boosting Africa's self-reliance and cutting down the risk of disease. I think they deserve a big round of applause. Now, all of these breakthroughs work because they were built right here on the continent by people who know the problems, and they are bold enough to build the solutions. Now, this is Africa in motion. We're not waiting for change, we are driving it. and the world should be watching, because we know what works here. We know what progress looks like. And most importantly, we know who is making it happen. So with that, let's get started. Are you ready? Okay, to open tonight's program, please join me as I welcome on stage someone who saw a major health gap and decided to fix it. She's the founder of Health Tracker. Make some noise for Ifeoluwa Dare Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ifeoluwa Dare Johnson, and I have come to believe that sometimes the person you're waiting for is you. You see, my father never went to school, but he made sure I never missed one day. I remember him at the University of Ilorin, proudly carrying my bags and standing in long queues to register my courses. I was so embarrassed at that time, but for him, it was his moment too. His first time at a university. He was my biggest cheerleader, always believing in me, even when I doubted myself. His sacrifices and unwavering support carried me through a degree in biochemistry and a career in tech and development. But in November 2019, my world stopped. My father passed away. A stroke triggered by undiagnosed hypertension and diabetes. Two treatable conditions. We just say no. That grief stayed buried until the world paused in 2020. It was in the silence of the lockdown. I asked myself, how many other people are losing their loved ones because they don't know what's going on in their bodies? And then I asked a second question. What can I do to change that? That's how Health Tracker was born. A digital health platform that brings lab testing into people's homes. In our first year, we conducted 5,000 tests. Today, we have delivered over 50,000 tests at home. We have created jobs and impacted over 200,000 lives through our platform. What began as a simple idea, helping people skip crowded hospitals to get into basic lab testing, has grown into something bigger. We started getting requests from women saying we want to self-test. So at first we said no, but then we thought, why not? That's how we launched HPV self-sampling kits for cervical cancer screening. And later, Lemon, the first self-sampling kit in Nigeria, made by us, assembled here at home. Why call it Lemon? Because in a country where stigma keeps young women from even saying the word STI, now they can walk into pharmacies and simply ask for a lemon. So at Health Tracker, our users, mostly women, were teaching us what was missing, and we listened. Just last year, we piloted Lola AI, a generative AI women's health assistant to support women with information ranging from menstrual period to menopause. Last month, we hosted a national conference gathering over 1,000 policymakers, innovators, medical researchers, community health workers from across Nigeria. At the heart of that conference was the State of Women's Health Report. It was Nigeria's first comprehensive, data-driven assessment of women's health outcomes across the 36 states. That report was a call to action. We cannot talk about economic progress without addressing women's health. I don't know about you, but I want to live in an Africa where nobody dies of an illness that could be treated if caught early, and where homegrown innovations can be scaled to meet the needs of our people. See, this isn't just about Nigeria. Across the continent, we are seeing a rise in African-built, African-owned health solutions. In Kenya, women are using mobile platforms to access prenatal care. In Rwanda, drones are delivering blood samples. to remote clinics. See, we are innovating. Not because we're waiting for permission, because the stakes are too high, not you. We are the ones building the solutions that we need. And we're doing it with data, with dignity, and with urgency. So to all of you here today, we're not the future. We're the now. Africa needs me. Africa needs you. To be bold, to be innovative, to be audacious, to turn our empathy into action, to lean into that resilient spirit that we're known for, to turn our pain and turn it into purpose. It's time to look into the mirror. Because maybe the person we have been waiting for is you. Thank you.
Grief is a very hard thing to deal with, so it's not very often you see people who know how to handle it. But to see someone who's turned grief into this, come on, give her a round of applause. Come on, come on. That is absolutely inspiring, and I think that's the message we're trying to send here today. Whatever it is you've come here for, make sure you leave inspired and do your part. All right, next up, we have our very first panel for today where we get to learn about scaling homegrown solutions. And I'd like to welcome our moderator. Please put your hands together for Lele Balde.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lele Balde, and I'm a media entrepreneur and a financial inclusion advocate. Thank you. Africa is a big and diverse continent. It's what makes it beautiful, but it also presents unique challenges when trying to scale ideas. Innovators have to address different languages, cultural norms, laws, and geographic realities. But as our two panelists can attest, these are simply obstacles, not deal breakers. As we talk about the need for African-led innovations in the future, it's extremely important to know that we have many homegrown solutions already in the works and expanding their impact across borders. We are now joined by two incredible entrepreneurs who are scaling their work across Africa, and I could not be more excited to be moderating a discussion on how they are doing it. Over our discussion, we will focus on three things: what it takes to scale solutions in Africa, the role of local innovation, data, and technology in achieving scale, and lastly, the kinds of partnerships and investments that can accelerate growth. Now, I couldn't be more excited to introduce our panelists. The first is the founder of Mama Money. She is lifting women out of poverty by designing apps that specifically meet the needs of low-income women. Please put your hands together for Nkem Okocha. Welcome, Nkem. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Our second panelist is the CEO of Data Science Nigeria and Equalize.ai. He is a leading voice in AI for social good across Africa. He has worked in over 30 African countries, leveraging data for 250 million people. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Olubayo Adekambi. Thank you both for taking the time to share your experiences and expertise with us today. So are we ready? Amazing. So my first question is for Nkem. Nkem, what was the first moment you realized that traditional financial solutions were not working for low-income women? And how did you approach designing something different?
Okay, when I started Mama Money, we started training women to gain skills that could help them generate income. So we taught them skills like baking, soap making. But after training these women, out of 10 women, 8 will come back to us and say, I do not have money to buy materials to start. So most of them kept coming back. So I sat down and I said, I needed to design something for the kind of women that we work with. So we came up with a simple, easy-to-use progressive web app. So with this app on low-end smartphones, the women could easily just request for microloans. For the women that do not have access to these devices, we had women leaders in their communities. So women started receiving funding. But we started getting calls from women across Nigeria. Mama Money, we also need your help. And we wanted to replicate this. So in 2022, we pivoted into agent banking. So what that did for us is that we have female agents like Mama Money representatives across different communities in Nigeria, conducting banking transactions for themselves, onboarding other women that have been excluded from formal financial services due to culture, religion, and these women would onboard them, conduct financial transactions for them, and also other people in their communities, and earn through this. You need to see these women. These women are women that never had contact with formal financial services. They don't know how to use simple banking apps, and we are able to teach them how to use this. Using a simple, easy-to-use progressive web app and point-of-sale terminals. And you need to see this. We don't say low-income women, we say no-income women. Most of these women, they are churning out billions of transactions as we speak. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Nkem. The work that you do is incredibly important. So, Bayo, I'm coming over to you next. Why is it critical that Africa builds its own AI systems? And what's at risk when we rely on imported technologies and global data sets that do not reflect our context?
Thank you. I think the dominant fact is that AI is about people, not about technology. And if AI will serve the people, it must understand the people. The richness of their language, their culture, their epistemology, their value system. Because it's those knowledge that AI will codify into sequence of instructions that people can, interact with in solving everyday problems. Now, if you look at the whole construct of AI, it's all about patterns. AI must be fed with enough patterns to learn so that it can be used in many use cases. So, for example, if I want AI to help me predict possibility of a disease, I need to train it with enough types of plants so that it can learn that visual, and when next somebody comes with a different pattern, it will be able to give an answer. But if I train AI with data that is biased, that is discriminated, that is not representative, it's not going to give me what I'm looking for. Now, if you look at all the most complex and sophisticated AI models that we have today, more than 90% of them fail on African languages and African context. Why? More than 95% of African languages are not currently digitized. So there is nothing for AI to learn from. So if AI cannot learn our content, whether in images, pictures, text, it cannot generate context-specific and nuanced answer for us to answer our everyday problem. For that reason, it is imperative to build AI that is localized, that is context-aware, and that is true to what makes us a people. And that aligns with the popular saying in Nigeria that we say, you cannot barb or shave a man's head in his absence. It must be there. And neither can you give a woman a very gorgeous hairstyle, even with the best of logistics system. She must be physically present, and she must be the center of attention as well. So we must be the center of attention if we want to build AI for Africa. Data must be collected by the people, the models must be built by the people, and the product must be nuanced by the people. Why? AI is a solution of the people, by the people, and to serve the peculiar realities of the people. Thank you.
I absolutely love that analogy. Very funny. Thank you for that. So Nkem, I'm coming to you next. As we know, one of the barriers to financial inclusion for women is the lack of trust that they have for financial institutions. But you've been able to build trust with the women that you serve, especially in underserved and informal communities. How does that help your trust? How does the trust help scale your impact?
Okay, so one of the things that has helped us at Mama Money is because women trust us. And we've done this through 3 ways. The first one is we train our women. So we go into communities that have been excluded. So communities that sometimes we go into communities, there are no roads, we have to go there by boat, or we have to trek in when we are going there. So communities that have been excluded that nobody wants to go to, we are champions in going there. So if you follow us, you know that that's what we do. So we go into these communities, and these women coming into their community tells them that you care about them. So that's one. The second one for us is transparency. So when we tell women, so we are able to explain to our women that if we say it's 1%, it's 1%. If we say it's 2%, it's 2%. You need to explain in the language that they would understand. So that's one of the things that we do. The third is our robust customer service. So for us, customer service is very key. So for the kind of women that we work with, they are most times uneducated. So we have to speak Yoruba, we have to speak Hausa, we have to speak Pidgin. And you have to be patient, you have to be empathic. They will come, it's like evangelism. They'll ask you one question like 10 times, and you have to be ready to answer them. And another thing that we did was we did like short explainer videos in local languages that they can understand. So if they need to maybe do like a transfer and they don't understand, they can easily go back to that video, watch it, conduct that transaction. So these are the things. Doing this for these women tells them that we love them and we care for them. And what it has done for us is that because they trust us, they announce us and they go bring other women to us, and it has helped us to scale.
Fantastic. So it's been a word of mouth type of situation. That's awesome. So Bayo, can you share an example of how your AI solutions have tangibly improved lives and what it taught you about building real impact?
Thank you. I'll pick a product that has 2 lifespans. The product actually won Gates Foundation Global Challenge in 2023. Kudos to Gates Foundation. Then it was called DSN AI Innovation, now Equalize AI. And it was about building AI solution that can generate learning content in local languages. And this is to make science more appealing and interesting to young people in their local languages. Imagine photosynthesis, osmosis, metamorphic rock, explain with relatable images that young people see every day. Just imagine how it stirs their interest and curiosity to want to learn about STEM. So we developed this solution, we deploy it in school, and the excitement of the learner learning science in their local language is amazing because it's what they see every day. But the other part of the product, which is more, which is also interesting, was 2021 when we first built it. It was built as an SMS interactive learning platform, and it was done during COVID because the learners we were targeting and that used the platform were 8 million learners, no internet at home, no laptops, no smartphones. They only had feature phones. So we converted learning into short messaging system. I'm sure we all know SMS. So we use AI at that time to simplify learning into short bites, and then we turn it into dynamic quizzes. So as you learn, you have a quiz. If you get it, you get a more difficult question. We call it adaptive and interactive learning. Now, 2 things for me here. While we use the power of LLM through the support of Gates Foundation, we also understand localization through the context of the user. Use what they have to deliver the solution they need. It's in the balance of the two that we build solutions that can scale and that can be massified to serve a larger percentage of people. Context is critical in deploying AI within African context. And that's what we have learned with the product that Gates Foundation supported through Grand Challenge 2023.
I love that you talked about localization, because this event is all about an Africa by Africans. So thank you so much for pointing that out. I'd love to move on to talk about partnerships, and I'm coming to you, Nkem. What role do partnerships, whether with government, funders, or fellow entrepreneurs, play in helping your business scale responsibly?
Okay. We've worked with government in some states to actually empower their women. So we've actually gone into some states to empower women when these state governments invite us. Also, another thing that we've done is I've been opportune to benefit from different accelerator programs. So I have friends who are entrepreneurs. One thing that we do is encourage each other, because being an entrepreneur is super amazing. So we encourage each other. We do like peer-to-peer lending, share opportunities with each other. And for us, our work has scaled because we also had partners. So we've gotten funding from organizations like the Tony Elumelu Foundation, the U.S. Consulate General in Lagos, and recently the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So these organizations have helped us with funding. So just imagine the possibilities of how many women we could reach. So right now we've been able to impact over 600,000 women across different communities in Nigeria. We have female agents, 3,000 female agents, and we have 30,000 women on our wait list who want to become female agents. So imagine if we had partnership that could give us access to funding $1 million. Imagine the possibility. $2 million. Imagine the amount of women that we could help with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkem. I think we can all imagine the possibilities. The more funding, the more women that you can reach. So, Bayo, you've impressively worked with data from 250 million users. I think we can clap for that. Across the continent of Africa. What have you learned about the challenges and opportunities in building inclusive digital systems at a scale?
Looking at my journey across the continent, serving thousands of customers across 30 African countries, is the fact that people are very predictable. And that understanding can be codified into a body of instructions that we can use to solve more problems. I used to work in telecoms industry where I was managing mobility data. During COVID, and I want to respectfully acknowledge the Executive Governor of Lagos State, because I had the privilege of working with him during that period where I led the development of the National Epidemiological Model. And what happened? We use what we have to get what we need. We didn't have data of where the low-income people were clustered, but we used the data of network operator where I was working to understand community clustering patterns. I remember His Excellency was always calling, what is the model saying? Where are the people going to? We use data to understand lockdown effectiveness, emergency preparedness, and that guided the government through Nigeria's Governors Forum to use what we have to solve the problem we had. And that for me is what I've learned on the continent. There will always be infrastructural deficit, there will always be digital illiteracy, but what is it that we have that we can repurpose, we can readapt to solve our problems? We cannot keep saying it's not working. In the fact that it's not working, there is still working there. Find what is working and make it work. And that is what I have seen in building solutions that work in context. And more importantly, the opportunity I'm seeing emerging now is the fact that we're now seeing the support system emerging. Now we have talent, now we have ecosystem emerging. For example, for many young people who are here, who are building, I'm glad to tell you that speech data that we need to get AI to speak many Nigerian languages is already being developed by Gates Foundation in Nigeria. So what we need is already been emerging. So guys, let's get ready. Let's see more of the opportunities and possibilities, and let's make AI work for us to solve our everyday problems.
I love the enthusiasm, Bayo. Thank you for that. So this is my final question, and it's for the both of you. So Nkem, you go first, and Bayo, you can close us off. What gives you the most hope right now about the future of innovation on the continent? And what's the one thing that we must do to make sure it scales with integrity and with impact?
Okay, I'm so encouraged by the innovations that is being churned out across Africa. I'm also encouraged by young Africans like myself. I have friends across Africa, young change makers, innovating across edtech, fintech, govtech, waste management, and this gives me joy. For it to scale with integrity and impact, I think it needs to be more inclusive. We need to be more inclusive. Also, we need to embrace ethical practices. And another thing I think we also need to do is support more young change makers to do the work.
Thank you so much, Nkem. Bayo?
The facts are inspiring. A recent statistic by World Economic Forum says that AI will contribute as much as $2.9 trillion to Africa's GDP by 2030, take over 11 million people out of poverty. What I'm seeing validating that is a cluster of energetic, audacious, bold Africans from Dakar to Kigali, from Khartoum to Johannesburg. I'm seeing a lot of young people emerging saying Africa will not miss the fourth industrial revolution. They are so passionate, they are committed. Even beyond what they are learning in school, they are doing extra classes. Even you see somebody doing literature, learning AI, somebody doing biology, learning AI, somebody doing home economics, learning AI. Across all our community in data science Nigeria and across our global network, we see people taking the future boldly and to own the largest share of tomorrow. That for me is the biggest inspiration that I'm saying. And if I index that to other supporting things, I'm saying we're building what works for us. For example, in Equalize AI, the startup that was supported by Gates Foundation through Grand Challenge 2023, we say we're not going to build large language model. Why not build small language model? SLMs. Models that are domain specific, that leverages local everyday data to solve everyday problem. And if there's one thing I'm going to leave for young builders on the continent, people are not codes, people are not statistics, people are bundles of emotions. Let's respectfully build for the continent. As we build, let's put people at the center. Design thinking by default. Let's build AI model that is responsible, accountable, fair, and most importantly, that can equalize the world like we see at Equalize AI, so that no one is left behind, and AI works for everyone.
Thank you to our panelists. This was an extremely energizing conversation. Let's put our hands together for the two of them.
Thank you very much for that. I love how Lele, the moderator, called it Mama Money. And Nkem came and called it Mama Money. Like it should be. Your hands together for them again. I know a lot of us hear AI and get very wary. We're not sure how to handle this. And I'm sure Bayo will get a lot of questions after this show. Personally, I have a lot to ask him as well. But anyway, we've seen some of your posts across social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever it is. Please don't forget to use the hashtag Goalkeepers2030. Not 2025, I know we're in 2025, but the global goals we're trying to meet are in 2030. So Goalkeepers 2030, all right? Next up, I'd like to introduce someone who's currently the Global Advocacy and Partnerships Director at Bridges to Property. She has been working in advocacy for 15 years, bringing governments, civil organizations, and businesses together to advance economic development priorities in Africa. Please join me as I welcome on stage Eniola Mafe Abaga.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Eniola Olua, a Yoruba name that means wealth of God, the abundance of His provision. And the word abundance is why I bet on Africa. When I look back in, clap for it. When I look back at my life, I see the power in my name. Power that is both rich in the nature and rooted in tradition and story. It takes me back to listening to tales from my grandmother about our Yoruba heritage, or even memories of growing up in a sea of unique names across Brixton, London. Names drawn from West Africa, the West Indies, the Horn of Africa, the Brazil's Bay of All Saints. I've lived a life that reflects both the reality and the promise of Africans' children. I saw it as a student among brilliant women of color at Spelman College in Atlanta. Discovered it in the pages of Frantz Fanon and delighted in finding soul food so far away from where it was born, catfish, okra. My story is the African story. I am one small wave in a long tide of people who have moved, built, and become all across this beautiful globe. Though I've spent much of my time outside of this land, there's always been this pulsing umbilical cord to Africa driving me. There is something in our DNA. There's something ancient, futuristic. There's something innovative, something unshakably wise in us. And it is in that frequency, that beat, that pulled me from the high rises of Washington, D.C., and also from Wall Street, to back home, right here in Africa, in Nigeria, in Lagos. And today, through my work at Bridges to Prosperity, we're building more than 650 literal bridges and roads across rural Africa, connecting millions of people to schools, markets, clinics, the things that are important to them, and the people that are important to them. And I believe that access is dignity, and infrastructure is justice made visible. And I believe that when we make that investment, it is because you have seen something worth building, right? But let's be clear. A single seed doesn't yield a harvest. What makes the difference is water, is soil, sunlight, and time. And that's the kind of patient commitment we need in Africa. Not a moment, not a movement, not a hiccup, not just applause, but patience. Not just capital, but actual care behind that capital. And this is why I'm here, because I've made a very long-term bet on Africa. And if we are honest, it's probably why many of you all are here too. Because just like my name, Africa holds wealth, wildly abundant wealth. For that promise to become power, we must join hands across sectors, across borders, across oceans. Sons and daughters and friends of this continent must invest not only our money, but our time, our energy, and our wild imagination for what the future of Africa could be. Okay. This is a bet I've made, and a bet I will keep showing up for. But I must admit I'm not doing it alone. I have quite literally joined hands with someone who is also committed to telling Africa's story. Someone who I'm kind of proud to call my husband. His music blends rhythm, resistance, future, and memory. It is the reflection of the richness we all carry and the power that unlocks when we weave our strands into something bolder and newer. So please help me welcome the incredible Jude M.I. Abaga.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're happy to be here tonight, let me hear you make some noise. What a beautiful room. This song is called Epic because it's time for Africa to rise and be epic.
Sometimes when I think about the trouble I see, sometimes when I reminisce the places I've been, oh yeah. Sometimes when I look around the places I've been, I realize only one option, and that's when
I realize we're epic. Some people's life is sweet, my life is diabetic. I need to find a medic, better go to credit, but there's no one to call, and plus I have no credit. I feel the doubt is creeping in, I know I shouldn't let it, but I've been reading what they wrote, I wish I hadn't read it. Maybe I could pick and choose, I wish that I could edit. I wish the wishes were the basis upon which we merit. But hey, this is life, and she's a cruel wife. Though she do me wrong, I gotta treat her right. Yo, I live with Nepa, I gotta be the light. The short black boy, baby, trying to reach the heights. Nothing is given freely, but we can live ideally. If we can seize the moment and own it, be the proponent. It takes a moment, but I hope you get it. The world is waiting on you, people. You're epic. Sometimes, when I look at the trouble I've seen,
sometimes when I reminisce the places I've been,
the places that I've been.
sometimes when I look around the faces that I've been, I realize
only one option,
and that's
when I realize I'm epic. So go tell the oppressor, tell them MI has said it. Send the facts, send an email, send it via FedEx. We are our own tomorrow. We can't be ruled by relics. It's time for our heroes. It's time for movie stars. It's time for MI to return back to his loopy bars. This is our own dilemma. It's time for success to be ours. The ship is sinking fast. Able bodies to the oars. If we don't bring a change, it'll stay the way it is. We say we're scared to die. We're really scared to live. But this is battle time. All you have prepared to give. We are not alone. Destiny is coming with. Nothing is given freely, but we can live ideally. If we can seize the moment and own it, be the proponents. It takes a moment, but I hope you get it. The world is waiting on you. You're epic.
sometimes when I think about the trouble I see, sometimes when I reminisce the places I've been, sometimes when I look around the places I've been, I realize there's only one option, and that's when.
Yo, we all came to play a great part, and even Braveheart had a late start. Even great artists make fake art until they realize just who they are. And we are like movie stars, not aware of the who, the what, why we're here. Staring into the sky, trying to dry a tear. Waiting on a hero and deny your pair. What my message is, it's really you, meant to change the drama that you're going through. You're the change, you're the hope, you're the miracle. And you are all the strength you need in times unbearable. Nothing is given freely, but we can live ideally. If we can seize the moment and own it, be the proponents. It takes a moment, but I hope you get it. The world's been waiting on you, goalkeepers. You're epic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Incredible. Before we get to Emma, I don't know if we heard it clearly when Eniola said she's built over 600 literal bridges across the continent. I don't know if you guys registered that. Connecting rural areas, markets, schools. Come on, can we give her a back? Come on, come on. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable work. And then she built a bridge to Emma's heart as well. Very well done. Many thanks to Emma and, of course, that amazing choir. Now, earlier tonight, I talked about how Africa is a continent of young self-starters. When they have an idea, they roll up their sleeves and get to work. Now, our next speaker is one of those people. I'm pleased to introduce her. She's the founder and CEO of Food for Education, a homegrown Kenyan initiative that feeds more than 500,000 children every day. That's just the start. She'll talk today about how she's gotten this far and her big plans for the future. Please welcome Wawira Njiru.
Hello. My story started in a tiny kitchen 13 years ago. 25 kids. $1,200 raised from friends in university, and a simple truth: hungry kids can't learn, and lost days in classrooms mean lost potential. Today, Food for Education serves over 530,000 school meals every day across Kenya. It sounds like scale, right? But sometimes, as my Niger people would say, it's all packaging. Behind the numbers are difficult decisions and invisible infrastructure, especially when building in and for Africa. Let's face it, this continent, and I love it so much, is messy. But we keep solving problems in pieces, working in silos, then wondering why collective progress is hard. One pot for hunger, another for maternal health, a third for education. For the families we serve, it's never separate. These issues bleed into each other. And when we treat them as if they're separate, we don't just lose efficiency, we lose futures. My first big grant was 60,000 shillings. $60,000. I converted it to shillings 4 years later. It came through a cold application where I argued that school feeding was a climate change solution. It wasn't untrue. We now run on green energy, operate at near zero waste, and source locally. But back then, I was just trying to feed kids. I had to stretch our reality to fit someone else's frame. Locally, though, we were gaining momentum. And in 2020, a member of parliament built our second central kitchen to feed 10,000 kids in his constituency. This was our first government partnership. He covered capital expenditure, while philanthropy and parents covered the actual cost of the meal. This kitchen was the first proof point of what government budgets can do and pulled more on board. Today, 15 of our 29 kitchens have been constructed by government partners. The next step was getting the government to cover recurring operational costs of the meal, the ingredients, labor, and more. This was critical for scale and sustainability. I had a selfish interest too. I wanted to see more of my taxes at work. In 2022, we partnered with 3 governors to feed their kids, our first in Kenya. The largest commitment was in Nairobi, a program called Dish in a County. The governor became a champion, and it wasn't just lip service. He delivered real kitchens, real policy, and $9 million taxpayer dollars annually. The result? Dishi scaled 15 times in under a year. A citywide school feeding system bigger than London's, built in 12 months in Nairobi, where school feeding was not charity, but infrastructure. Every day, parents contribute a subsidized 5 US cents. Tiny payments, massive voter buy-in. That's how you outlast political cycles. The lesson? Thank you. The lesson? Meet African governments and communities where they are, not where you wish them to be, and offer solutions they can own, scale, and sustain. 70% of African governments have school feeding budget lines, but many of them are paralyzed in operations. Meanwhile, hunger swallows 16.5% of Africa's GDP. Try leapfrogging hunger, and any 2050 agenda collapses under the weight of 400 million malnourished children. These children are the front line of human capital, where development begins or ends. Or, as Dr. Adeshina says, we're building gray matter infrastructure. When a road has a pothole, you can repair it. But when a child is stunted, it's irreversible. Today, Food for Education is living proof that local solutions can and must drive change across systems. A child nutrition program serving critical micronutrients on every plate, a tech-powered delivery platform driven by data, a magnet drawing kids to over 1,500 schools, an agricultural off-taker sourcing 100 tons of food daily from thousands of local farmers, a livelihoods engine with over 4,500 jobs, mostly for women, all at once. Because when you build for Africa, and you don't just build a solution, you need to build the ecosystem around it. Logistics, payments, roads, trust, the entire value chain. That's the kind of African ingenuity that deserves backing. Africa has the capacity to move itself forward, and our governments, philanthropy, and private sector must join in that journey, alongside the right global partners who act as catalysts, ready to make the biggest bets. Because when global aid retreats, African ingenuity must step forward. Not somewhat, thank you. Not someday, not eventually, now. Thank you.
I love that presentation a lot because a lot of the people who should hear it are here. We have government here. We have our innovators here. We have the young people who are doing great things. So hopefully this begins the conversation that the content needs to hold. Your hands together for Wawira, please. Many big lessons there. Now, up next is our final panel for this evening, where we get to learn about funding and partnerships in action. Now, to kick off this panel is someone who's an icon in broadcasting and one of my personal favorites in the media industry. Please put your hands together for Foli Ba Thibault.
Good evening, Lagos. Good evening, Africa. Come on, I need a bit more energy in this room. Good evening, everyone. I'm Foli Ba Thibault, Senior News Anchor at Al Jazeera, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for the final panel of the night. I think it's safe to say that we're all feeling pretty inspired tonight, aren't we? Yes? Let me hear it. Well, now it's time for us to talk about how to turn our inspiration into something tangible. There is no singular way to bring about change, whether you're an entrepreneur, a researcher, a politician, or a journalist and education advocate like me. We each have our own ways to contribute. And tonight we're fortunate to hear from two people who are both accelerating progress. They don't just talk about change, they drive it. With them, we'll talk about a real-world example of impact, the transformation of Gombe State's primary healthcare system. What elements make partnerships effective and sustainable? And lastly, what role you can play in creating a stronger and more resilient Africa? I'm very excited to introduce our panelists to you. Our first one is one of Nigeria's most stalwart champions of health. Under his leadership, healthcare in Gombe State, northern Nigeria, has become more affordable. The number of trained healthcare workers has increased, and childhood and maternal mortality have declined. Our second panelist, yes, just wait. Our second panelist has helped lead one of the most impactful philanthropic organizations in the world. The Gates Foundation has worked in partnership with African leaders, organizations, and scientists for the last 25 years. As a result, we've seen incredible gains across multiple sectors of the continent and are set up to drive progress even further. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage His Excellency Inuwa Yahaya, Governor of Gombe State, and Mr. Bill Gates, Chair and Board Member of the Gates Foundation. Please. Join me. Bill, you sit right here, and the Governor, yes. Yes, you sit there. And the Governor will sit right. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. We are very much looking forward to your insights tonight. Thank you for joining us. Please, a round of applause once again for our panelists. So, Governor, let me start with you, because your background is not in health, but you've become one of the most vocal advocates for primary health care in Nigeria. Why did you decide to focus on primary health care transformation as a central focus of your administration? What sparked the commitment? What was it? What story led you to decide to pursue this?
Thank you very much. And let me begin by giving the background.
Yes.
And as politicians, you know, we normally go around campaigning before eventually you become chosen to be governor or elected to be governor. And such promises normally align to the hopes and aspirations of the people. And you must prioritize and see that you are able to address. And when I became governor in 2019, my promises to people were mostly tied to, you know, human capital development, because we are performing very low in the indices around that. And as such, I realized that going through the primary health care would have helped me achieve a lot in quite a short time. And so I had to work with the indices I found and see that I effectively utilize, you know, in order to encourage the health workers and the health system to go in line with the earnings and aspirations of the people. And the statistics I found were really very low.
Right.
And for example, attendance or attention in primary health care was not obtained 100%. In fact, it was just about 53% in the state. Access to primary health care, that is, access to secondary health care was by far much higher, lower than expected, 90%. Could not access basic secondary health care with ease. And our immunization coverage was just about 18%, and there was only 3.5% release in the budget in order to finance health expenditure. And also there was a multitude of out-of-school children, around 550,000 or so by the account of UNICEF. So there was so much that I now felt I had to prioritize and face both health and education. In order to tackle health, focus on primary health care became very imminent. And then I had to focus on getting to the people in the right places. And we attempted by having to do with upgrading the primary health care system in not less than 114, which are the wards we have. And that I was inspired to do so because of my attendance of the Seattle table.
the time we're playing it safe.
Oh yes, but I had to do so because I had to take that bold decision. Otherwise, I would not have achieved my aims and targets, getting to the people and building hopes in them and inspiring them to follow me as their own leader. So that enabled us now to improve on the situation and the statistics as it is today. Coverage of immunization is around 50%, and access, that is, to primary health care has also increased because now we have about 45%. And besides that, we equally have all the infrastructure needed around the health sector.
And a decline in maternal and
oh yes,
mortality,
obviously, because it's not only the resultant effect is not only in just attendance, but child mortality, maternal and child care has improved, and also mortality has reduced, and also the impact of the operations of the primary health care centers has reduced, absenteeism, and the staff are well motivated and they're doing much better than we wanted them to do.
But I'm sure, a round of applause for the governor, please, for everything that they've achieved in Gombe State. But I'm sure there were challenges along the way, which we'll address in just a moment. But Bill, let me come to you now. You've announced a landmark commitment, pledging to spend $200 billion over the next 2 decades, with a large portion of that focused on the African continent. That deserves a round of applause. Because this is happening at a time when there's a great deal of concern about the declining levels of foreign aid, right? Especially to the African continent. So, Bill, I think we all want to know what inspired you to do that, and how will the foundation ensure that this investment strengthens local institutions and avoids dependency, that it's not charity?
Well, the Gates Foundation got started in the year 2000, and the basic guiding principle was that all lives have equal value. And so I was curious to understand, why do children die? What do they die of? Where do they die? And it was pretty stunning to find out that the chance of a child dying in northern Nigeria is 50 times greater than in a rich country. It's one of the for a place without war, it's one of the worst places in terms of child survival and maternal survival. And so I looked and I said, okay, are people taking this seriously? Are they making the medicines cheaper? Or are they tailoring the medicines to the particular needs of those areas? For example, investing in new malaria tools. And the answer was no. And so that became the guiding light for the Gates Foundation. Over 70% of what we've spent, the $100 billion we've spent in these last 25 years, went to global health. And throughout that 25 years, we've developed deep partnerships throughout Africa, here in Nigeria. And we've had amazing partners who understand the delivery, the way that we can work and help government. Government in the long run has the responsibility for all of this work. We're there to accelerate these systems. It's very exciting that if you improve health, it actually accelerates the economic growth of a country. And eventually, we've seen with Asian countries that invest in health, they grow their economy, and eventually they get to this middle income status, and they're able to be basically self-sufficient. These next 20 years, the countries in Africa will get to that status. So helping them accelerate that, helping understand, okay, what are the unique local challenges? Which things do we need to make simpler, bring the price down? That's done as a partnership.
Right.
And the last 25 years went way better than I expected. That is, the childhood death globally and in Africa was cut in more than half. We went from almost 10 million worldwide to now less than 5 million. And I feel confident we can cut that in half again, even though, as you mentioned, right now we're in a stunning and completely unjust withdrawal of support from a number of rich governments, including the United States. But even despite that, which is going to make the next 4 or 5 years, we'll have some reversal because it's just too large and too sudden to overcome. We will get back to incredible progress reducing those
I was going to
deaths.
ask you how big of a reversal and what's the timeline? What timeline do you expect to continue making that progress again?
So the number of children who die every year has gone down faster every year for the last 25 years, over 3 times faster than ever in history. And, you know, and there's some, you know, very key things that were done there. There were new vaccines that were made cheaper, like rotavirus, pneumococcus, penta. And Gavi is a group that helps fund most of those costs to make sure they get to all the world's children. So that alone, the bed nets for malaria, the preventing HIV transmission from mother to child, you know, a little bit of progress on malnutrition, although that will be a big thing in the years ahead. So all that came together, and, you know, people started looking at vaccine coverage, and, you know, various countries can compare their vaccine coverage. You know, there's some countries in Africa that have over 95% vaccine coverage, better than the United States. There's some countries that only have, like, you know, 50% vaccine coverage. So quite a range that if we, you know, spread best practices, we can do.
So that there is hope that we can still make progress even if there's a decline in the coming years.
Taking the best ideas from all over Africa and sharing them, that alone would be a gigantic thing.
Right. Governor, Bill talked about challenges that are unique to the local context. Talk to us about some of the challenges that you face while trying to transform primary health care in Gombe State, and how you push through these challenges.
Well, considering the location of Gombe State and the nature of the terrain, you know, we face challenges, especially with the basic infrastructure, be it the roads, water supply, you know, electricity, and also facilities that are needed in order to manage successfully the primary health care centers. 2, you know, the attitude of workers, especially those located in the rural areas. You know, there's a lot of truancy, and because of asceticism, and sometimes to the extent that some of them are even ghost workers, and eventually they may generate to become ghost pensioners. So extra efforts need to be made in order to keep them on track. And for that, we had to be ingenious to start using biometric machines to take attendance and monitor the performance of our health workers in their various locations. So there is also issue of finance, funding, you know, because the challenges of today are normally tied around finance. The budgetary allocation to the health sector was only about 3.5% at the inception of my government, but I now added upscale to around averagely between 2020 until now to around 8.5%. So we're trying to reach the national average, and those are really helping us in catching up and making the situation better. But above all, what is most important is to ensure that at least whatever little you have, you utilize it properly, and you align yourself with partners that are able to understand your system and give you the support you need in order to succeed.
Yeah. So, Bill, you heard about some of the challenges there. They're real, and the urgency to act is high. Are you hopeful that Africa and Africans can still deliver on these big health goals? And what do you believe needs to happen now to make that happen?
Well, certainly, Gombe is an exemplar, you know, really focusing on the performance of the workforce and being willing, even with very tight budget conditions, which is true throughout Africa, to emphasize not just health, but specifically primary health care. And we see very quickly when that's done, the childhood deaths go down, the maternal deaths go down, the nutrition rates go up. We heard earlier about how AI is coming along, AI which is improving at the global level, and AI which is being shaped specifically by entrepreneurs in Africa to meet African needs. And so if you take the combination of, Africa will be getting richer as the years go on. There'll be more philanthropists. The rich countries will restore some of their generosity. And on top of that, the sharing of best practices and the innovation. We have some incredible tools coming along, even for things like sickle cell disease that, we need to get rid of that. It's a dramatic burden. So when you combine the innovation and the growth that we'll see, global excitement and amazing work being done here in Africa, yes, if you look at this 20-year time frame, we can achieve even more than we did in the last 25 years.
That's impressive. Great deal of hope there. I think we have someone, a round of applause please, but I noticed that we have someone in the audience who can provide some valuable insights into what we have been talking about here. I'd like to call on Alhaji Aliko Dangote, who's in the audience here with us. Alhaji, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
You've often spoken about the importance of Africa building more of what it consumes, from cement, of course, to food, to vaccines. What do you think is holding us back from scaling African-made solutions faster? And how can business leaders like yourself work more closely with governments, with other entrepreneurs to make this happen?
Thank you very much for the invitation. I think you're right. We can make it happen in business and also in health. We've actually done a lot. Let me start with health. Mm-hmm. In health, through our own partnership with Bill, we've actually, end polio. The polio. And then also we have participated and also did quite a lot in nutrition. So that's, on partnership. But in terms of business, it's true. We have done quite a lot by reversing a lot of things, Nigeria used to be the second largest importer of cement in the world. Mm-hmm. And now we have reversed it. Nigeria now exports cement more than any other African country. We've looked at also challenge in terms of fertilizer, where our farmers were suffering no fertilizer. We built from the zero level to the second largest plant of fertilizer in the world. So Nigeria now, not only we export, we actually export 37% of our fertilizer to the United States of America.
Wow.
Again, in terms of petrochemical, Nigeria imports about 350,000 polypropylene. Now we have addressed that issue. It's not going to happen again. We'll export, not only that we'll meet the local demand, we'll export 600,000 out of the country to serve all the other African countries. Petroleum, Nigeria, we have now capacity. And, we went on and said, okay, fine. What's the highest, biggest capacity of refinery that has ever been built in the world?
Right.
By Saudi Aramco, which is 430,000 barrels. We said that let us do what has never ever been done before. That is to do 650,000 barrels per day. And we have delivered. This month alone, that's May. May alone, we have actually exported 400,000 metric tons of PMS, which is petrol. Nigeria used to import 100%, but right now, no more.
Okay.
So when we have done all this, successes in business, there's no way we will not be able now to do this in health. And what we need to do is to make sure that we stop this health tourism. And we should now get into producing our own drugs. We should now make sure that when you are sick, you don't have to travel abroad. All of us, including myself, if we are sick, we shouldn't now. But we need to do partnership with Bill and other
let's
people.
hear from Bill about that. Bill, you heard Alaji's call there, a partnership and solutions that are rooted in local realities. What do you, how do you react to what Alaji Aliko Dangote has said there?
Well, we've had an amazing partnership with Aliko across almost everything we do. The polio fight, figuring out how to get the primary health care facilities in very good shape. He and I, even in Niger and Chad, we've worked in the surrounding countries as well. So, it's great to have somebody who knows the country. There are things that are global technologies that will contribute, and you've got to tune them to the particular needs. And, it's a constant learning journey. That's partly why it's so much fun for me.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our panel discussion, but I have one final question for each of you. Governor, I'll come to you first. We are operating, of course, today in a very complex environment, from shrinking aid to rising local demand. So as we look ahead, what action would you advise, do you believe is critical today, whether from leaders, from the young people, from funders, to not just protect the progress that we've made until today, but also to drive meaningful, sustainable development across Africa? Governor, I'll go to you first. The advice you would give to your fellow governors and to young people in Nigeria today?
Yeah, I think in that regard, I will advise that we be ourselves, look at ourselves in our true color with our conditions and the environment in which we operate. Equally, try to innovate solutions to our problems, because it's possible. We have the capacity with this disclosure from the young men, especially through artificial intelligence and the support of people like Alaji Aliko and the rest of our entrepreneurs. We'll be able to have solutions to most of our problems. But where necessary, we can invite partners to look at the problems through our own perspectives, so that the solution will be inbuilt with a view to now sustaining it even after succeeding in overcoming those challenges.
All right. Yeah. Bill, to you now. You've helped achieve some great things on the African continent over the last 25 years. What would you do differently in the next 20 years?
Well, the amazing thing about Africa, and every time I show people this slide, is it is a very young continent. The portion of children born in Africa is going up to be over half during this century. The city we're in today will be by far the largest city in the world. So that'll be interesting and keep things vibrant. But, so Africa has this incredible asset of its youth, and that will make it the most interesting continent throughout this century. How much that youth can really drive progress will depend on the investment decisions we make in the next 20 years, in their health and their education. And so if we prioritize that, boy, there's an unbelievable future here.
And we will leave it on that hopeful note. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for your invaluable insights, and thank you for being on this journey with us. Today is a celebration of what happens when innovation meets impact, and when partnerships is not rooted in charity, but in shared purpose and mutual respect. So thank you very much again for your insights and for being on this journey with us. Thank you. Thank you so much, Governor.
Very much. Your hands together for our panelists. And of course, a big, big thank you and a round of applause for the Gates Foundation for all they continue to do. But most importantly, thank you to our incredible storytellers tonight, our panelists, our performers, and to all of you right here in Lagos. And of course, to everyone who's watching across the continent, your energy has been amazing, your voices have been heard, and your commitment to progress made tonight will be unforgettable. Now, as I listened to the speakers earlier, from innovators scaling impact in our communities to leaders shaping systems at the highest levels, one thing became clear. The time for action is now. Like I said earlier, the world is shifting. The road ahead is tough, but we can't afford to wait for ideal conditions. We can't wait for someone else to lead us. The future we want will be built by us, or we will be kept behind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, earlier on I said I found myself asking, what can I do? What do I want to solve? And I want you guys to ask yourself the question as well, because the truth is, we all have a role to play. Even the smallest idea can unlock something massive. I think often of my electrician, who I've worked with for quite a while, he used to want cash whenever he worked for me. And I found it a little messy, quite unreliable, and even unsafe. But a lot of that has changed with the mobile money platforms we have now. We all know of OPay, Paga, Money Points, Kudai. All of our artisans are very good with these. And it has changed a lot for them. You know, he gets paid instantly, he manages his finances better, and he has grown his business even more. And he's not alone. From market vendors to delivery riders to tailors, mobile money has opened up a world of economic opportunity. People like the service industry can now get paid for and plan for growth in a way that simply wasn't possible before. All because of the solutions that are small and scaled. That's what we've heard tonight. Yes, with real impact. Solutions designed for our own realities, let people who live the challenge and have the courage to solve them. So here is my call to action for everyone here. Don't wait. Start with what's in front of you. Ask yourself, what can I change? And then get to work. Because Africa is not short on talent or solutions. We just need to keep believing, investing, and building together. And now to close out this amazing night, please join me as I welcome back on stage the amazing Loud Urban Choir, joined again by Mr. Incredible, Africa's favorite vocalist, Waje, and the Queen of Dance, Kathy.
Long before the dawn of his story, Al-Kibulan was born. A cradle of life, a land of boundless beauties and untamed spirits. From the great pyramids of Egypt to the golden kingdoms of Mali, this was a continent that shaped civilizations. Will come. Chains of oppression, the scars of exploitation, and the weight of division tested Al-Kibulan's soul. Nations were carved without consent, resources stripped away, and voices silenced. Yet, Al-Kibulan refused to bow. With unbreakable will, it rose. Warriors of freedom fought. Poets and visionaries dreamed, and the people stood together. Independence was won, but the journey was far from over. Today, Africa writes its own story through innovation, culture, and unshakable unity. It turns challenges into strength. The past is a lesson, not a chain. The future, a promise forged by resilience, lit by hope. Africa is not just a land, it is a spirit, unbroken, unstoppable, and forever rising.
Even if I fall or stumble, even if you cause me trouble, I won't let it get to me. I won't let it get to me. Even if I fall or stumble, even if you cause me trouble, I won't let it get to me. I won't let it get to me. I'm so inspired. 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 So Africa, come on, let me see your hands together. Hey, yeah. Africa will survive. Africa will survive. My people will survive. This continent will shine, Lord. Africa will survive. Continent will shine, Lord. Africa will survive. This continent will shine, Lord. Africa will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. Hey, this continent will shine.
Yo, I'm wishing you money, I'm wishing you money, I'm wishing you health. I pray that you ball, I pray that you ball, I'm wishing you wealth. Whatever you pray for yourself, may you receive it and more. May you not be greedy at all. Your wealth will be feeding the poor. They don't believe it will soar. They say no one will see us on tour. But I'm barely surviving. Business is thriving until we can even the score. Africa, when they see us tomorrow, we'll recognize that they've seen us before. We'll recognize that they've seen us before. We'll recognize that they've seen us before. Africa will survive. Yeah. My people will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. Africa will survive. My people will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. Do you believe this continent will shine? Africa will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. This continent will shine.
This is Africa. We are not what we've lost. We are what we continue to create. We are blessed with endless expressions of creativity. From Amapiano to Azonto, Eti to Ashaki. We day campaign. We stand Gidigba. I am Africa. You are Africa. We are Africa. Mama Africa. Africa will survive. People will survive. This continent will shine. Africa will survive. Africa will survive. This continent will shine. 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 Africa, 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 go survive. And now,
We want to do it with everybody in the room. We want everybody to join in the chorus. The chorus is really simple. Africa go survive. My people go survive. This continent go shine. Oh, Africa go survive.
Let's do it together, right? Africa go survive. My people go survive. This continent will shine. Oh, Africa will survive.
This is Channels Television. You've been watching a live coverage at the Victoria Island, the Gates Foundation Goalkeepers program. We now cross over to Abuja, the nation's capital, for a live broadcast of the National Police Awards. Please stay with Channels Television.
Mike. Yeah.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please let's fasten our seatbelt as we prepare to watch The Patriots, the Nigerian Police movie part 2. Please let's put our hands together for The Patriots. We are several. Thank you.
Hey. We warn you. We warn you never to call the police. But here we are, surrounded by the police. And who are the police?
Nobody. Only this one now.
So how about